There's a famous joke about two men, Shagian and Goldberg, who are walking down the street together. And they're stopped along the way by someone who asks them, "Where are you going?" They casually tell the man that they are both on their way to synagogue, Beit Knesset. The man responds, "Shagian, I know you go to synagogue. You believe in God and you're an observant Jew." But then he adds, "But Goldberg, you don't believe in God. Why are you going?" So Goldberg responds, "Shagian goes to synagogue to talk to God. I go to synagogue to talk to Shagian." Whether you are here to talk to God or you are here to talk to Shagian, or you are here to celebrate two wonderful human beings becoming B'nai Mitzvah, or you are here for the cookies, welcome. Welcome home to Sinai Temple. We are grateful to be together. We are glad you are here. Today I want to talk about why we are here. Not in an existential, what is the meaning of life sense, but rather, why are we here at synagogue? And specifically, why are we here to pray together? Although in sharing, we might find some answers to the existential question. The Torah teaches, serve God with all of our heart. The rabbis of the Talmud try to understand this statement, and so they ask, what exactly is service of the heart? Of course, they answer their own question. Tefillah, prayer, is service of the heart. And so the rabbis continue to ask, how might the act of prayer help us serve God with all of our hearts? I want to preface this next part of my remarks by saying that it is not for me to tell you about the service of your heart. Each of us finds meaning in prayer in our own ways. Each of us prays differently and prays for different things. Each of us sees God or doesn't see God in our own way. But I hope for a moment that this might encourage us to think about prayer a little differently today. Rabbi Avi Weiss, in his book Holistic Prayer, helps us understand one answer that our tradition gives. According to the Torah, each human being, each of us, was created in the image of God, B'Tselem Elohim. That is, there is a spark of God within each and every one of us, each and every human being. And it is our job not only to tap into the godliness within ourselves, but to recognize the godliness within each other, within all human beings. So how do we do this? Rabbi Weiss suggests both reaching in and reaching out. Reaching in to return to our best selves, to the godliness inherent within each and every one of us, to connect with our humanity. And by doing this, we also want to reach out to each other. And through reaching in and through reaching out, we also reach up, connecting to God. So if the Torah says that we are made B'Tselem Elohim, in the image of God, our tradition teaches that that must mean that we're able to act like God in some way. And so the rabbis of the Talmud again ask, how is it possible to walk in the shadow of the divine, to walk in God's ways? And they answer, just as God clothed the naked, as God clothed Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, so too should we clothe those who are naked. And just as God visited Abraham when he wasn't feeling well outside of his tent in the heat of day, so too should we visit the sick. The word for prayer in Hebrew, tefillah, in the reflexive form, is להתפלל, which literally means to judge ourselves, to examine our deeds, to examine our actions. So much of prayer is an opportunity to self-reflect, to think about our lives, who we are, and who we want to be. Every day in our tefillot, in our prayers, we say, God is somech noflim rofech cholim matir asturim. God raises up the downtrodden, heals the sick, frees the captive. And so we might ask ourselves, how have we raised the downtrodden, helped those in need of healing, supported those who are struggling for freedom? How have we each reached our inner potential for godliness? Our two friends, Ashegian and Goldberg, were discussing some of the more difficult issues of life. Ashegian said, sometimes I would like to ask God, why do you allow poverty? Why do you allow famine and injustice when you could do something about it? So Goldberg replied, okay, why don't you ask God? Shagian quickly responded and said, because I'm afraid God might ask me the same question. My teacher, Rabbi Shulweiss, Rabbi Harold M. Shulweiss, may his memory be for a blessing, taught that prayer is meaningless unless it moves us out of our seats into the world. The point of prayer is to change us for the better in some way, so that when we are done praying, we are able to move out of our seats, ready to better ourselves and the world. Today, we continued to read the story of our patriarch Jacob. After some would say taking advantage of his starving brother and deceiving his father in order to receive the blessing of his brother, Jacob is forced to flee his home. Jacob, known as Yoshev Ohalim, literally one who sits in tents or a homebody, finds himself alone in the wilderness. What might Jacob be feeling? Alone, scared, maybe a sense of guilt. Jacob has a dream, as we know. He sees a ladder that reaches to the heavens with angels ascending and descending. God tells him of the promise that he will become a great nation, and he is reminded that he is not alone. As Jacob arrives at this place, the Torah says, Vayifga bamakom. He happens upon a certain place. Classic rabbinic commentary suggests that the word Vayifga is synonymous with prayer. Jacob ordains the first ever evening service. In the darkness of night, scared and alone, he prays. Why does Jacob pray? Maybe he's praying for strength and courage. Maybe Jacob is reflecting on the events of his life, striving to become better. We know the rest of Jacob's story, the heartache he endured. Maybe it was his prayer, his belief that he is not alone, his acceptance of his humanity, his willingness to reach in, to reach out, and ultimately to reach up, that guides him on his journey, that allows him to become Yisrael, one who struggles with God and man and perseveres. When I was a child, I would often go with my father, with my dad, to Daily Minyan. And one day I turned to him and I said, Abba, why do we come here every day and say the same words over and over and over again? My dad said, you are right. The words we say don't change. But the hope is that we do. Shabbat Shalom.